Jennifer Matthews convinced her mother to sign over the family home for safekeeping, then locked her away in the worst-rated nursing facility in the state where neglect and abuse were daily occurrences. She thought no one would ever know. But on the night she celebrated her theft with champagne, Jesus Christ appeared in her living room and showed her a vision of her future so terrifying that she collapsed on the floor, begging for mercy she had never shown her own mother. Elder financial abuse is one of the fastest-growing crimes in America. Every year, elderly people lose an estimated $1 billion to scams, fraud, and theft, and in over 60% of cases, the perpetrator is a family member, a son, a daughter, someone who was trusted completely. This is the story of one such crime. But it's more than just a crime story. It's a story about how greed can corrupt a soul so completely that a daughter becomes capable of destroying the woman who gave her life. It's about how small compromises lead to monstrous acts. It's about how we deceive ourselves into believing our sins are justified. And it's about how Jesus Christ intervenes not always to prevent evil, but sometimes to confront it with such devastating clarity that redemption becomes the only path to survival. On March 15th, in a quiet suburb of Phoenix, Arizona, a woman named Jennifer Matthews was celebrating. She had just successfully stolen her mother's $800,000 home through legal manipulation and was planning to sell it for profit. Her mother, meanwhile, was locked away in a facility where residents were routinely neglected, abused, and left to suffer. Jennifer thought she had gotten away with it. She thought no one would ever know. She thought her mother was too confused, too weak, too powerless to do anything about it. She was wrong, because that night, as Jennifer toasted her success with expensive champagne, Jesus Christ appeared in her living room and showed her something that would shatter every illusion she'd built, her future. The real future, awaiting someone who betrays, steals from, and abandons their own mother. What Jennifer saw in those visions would break her completely and save her soul. This story is difficult. It involves elder abuse, financial exploitation, and the darkest corners of human selfishness. But it also shows the incredible, relentless love of a God who pursues us even when we've become monsters, who offers redemption even to those who seem irredeemable. Eleanor Matthews sat in her wheelchair by the window of room 247 at Sunset Valley Care Facility, watching the Arizona sun set over the parking lot. She was 82 years old. She had moderate dementia, arthritis, and diabetes, but her mind was still sharp enough to know exactly what had happened to her, sharp enough to understand that her daughter had betrayed her, sharp enough to feel the crushing weight of abandonment every single day. The room was small and smelled of urine and disinfectant, though there was far more of the former than the latter. The walls were stained. The linoleum floor was cracked and dirty. Eleanor's roommate, Mrs. Chen, lay in the other bed, mostly catatonic, rarely receiving visitors or proper care. Eleanor had been at Sunset Valley for 4 months. 4 months of hell. The facility was chronically understaffed. One aide was responsible for 20 residents. Meals were served cold and usually inedible. Medication was frequently missed or given incorrectly. Residents who needed help toileting were often left to sit in their own waste for hours. Call buttons went unanswered. Complaints were ignored. The state had cited Sunset Valley for violations 17 times in the past 3 years. It had a 1-star rating, the lowest possible. Families who could afford better options avoided it at all costs. But Jennifer had placed her mother here deliberately, because it was cheap, because it was out of the way, because Jennifer didn't actually care if her mother received good care or not. Eleanor had tried to call her daughter multiple times in the first few weeks, but Jennifer never answered, never returned the calls, never visited. "My daughter put me here," Eleanor would tell the aides, her voice trembling. "She took my house. She stole everything from me. Please, can someone help me?" But the aides had heard similar stories from a dozen other residents. Half of them were confused, their accusations the product of dementia, rather than reality. The other half were telling the truth, but the aides were too overworked, too underpaid, too burned out to investigate or intervene. So Eleanor sat in her wheelchair by the window, day after day, watching the sun rise and set, wondering how her life had come to this. She thought about her house, the beautiful 3-bedroom home in a nice Phoenix suburb that she and her late husband Robert had bought 40 years ago. They'd raised Jennifer there, celebrated birthdays and Christmases there, grown old there together. When Robert died 5 years ago, Eleanor had planned to live in that house for the rest of her life. It was paid off. It was full of memories. It was home. But Jennifer had convinced her otherwise. "Mom, you can't live alone anymore," Jennifer had said 6 months ago, sitting in Eleanor's living room with legal documents spread across the coffee table. "You're getting confused. You're forgetting things. What if you fall and can't call for help? What if you leave the stove on and burn the house down?" "I'm fine, sweetheart," Eleanor had protested. "I have my neighbors. I have my church friends. I can manage." "Mom, you're not fine. Last week you forgot to take your medication for 3 days. You left the front door unlocked twice. You couldn't remember where you parked at the grocery store." Eleanor had felt defensive but also frightened. Was she really getting that bad? She knew her memory wasn't what it used to be. Sometimes she did get confused. Maybe Jennifer was right. "What are you suggesting?" Eleanor had asked. "I think you should move into assisted living, somewhere safe where people can look after you. And Mom, I think you should sign the house over to me just temporarily, for legal protection. That way, if anything happens, if you need Medicaid, the state can't take the house. It'll be protected in my name." Eleanor had hesitated. "I don't know, Jennifer. This house is all I have left of your father. Mom, I'm not going to take your house. I'm your daughter. I love you. I just want to protect you. Once we get you settled somewhere safe, we can figure out the next steps. Maybe you can even move back eventually. But right now, we need to make sure everything is legally protected." Jennifer's voice had been so reasonable, so caring, so convincing. She'd brought official-looking documents. She'd explained the legal terms. She'd made it all sound sensible and necessary. And Eleanor, tired and confused and wanting to trust her only child, had signed. She'd signed the quitclaim deed transferring ownership of her home to Jennifer Matthews. She'd signed the power of attorney giving Jennifer control over her finances. She'd signed away everything. "Good," Jennifer had said, gathering up the documents with barely concealed satisfaction. "Now let's look at some assisted living facilities." But Jennifer hadn't looked at nice assisted living facilities. She'd looked at the cheapest nursing home she could find, Sunset Valley, with its 1-star rating and its history of violations. "This one has an opening," Jennifer had said, "and it's affordable. Your savings will last longer here." "But Jennifer, this place looks run down," Eleanor had said when they'd toured it. The hallways had been dingy. The residents had looked neglected. The staff had seemed harassed and indifferent. "It's fine, Mom. You're just being picky. Beggars can't be choosers, and your savings aren't unlimited. This is what we can afford." That was a lie. Eleanor's savings could have afforded a much better facility, but Jennifer was already planning to keep most of that money for herself. So Eleanor had been moved into room 247 at Sunset Valley, and Jennifer had immediately put the house on the market. Eleanor found out about the sale 3 weeks ago, when a former neighbor called the nursing home to ask if she'd moved. "Eleanor, there's a for sale sign in your yard," the neighbor had said. "Did you know about this?" Eleanor's blood had run cold. No, I didn't know." Jennifer said she was just holding it for legal protection. "Well, someone's selling it. I thought you should know." Eleanor had called Jennifer immediately, her hands shaking as she dialed. "Jennifer, Mrs. Patterson says there's a for sale sign at the house. What's going on?" There was a pause on the other end. Then Jennifer's voice, cool and matter-of-fact. "Mom, we talked about this. We need to sell the house to pay for your care." "No, we didn't talk about this. You said you were protecting it. You said I might be able to move back." "Mom, you're confused. You can't live independently anymore. The house needs to be sold. It's for your own good." "Jennifer, that's my house. Your father and I built our life there. You can't just sell it without asking me." "Actually, Mom, I can. You signed it over to me. Legally, it's my house now, and I'm making the responsible decision to liquidate the asset and use it for your care." Eleanor had started crying. "Please don't do this. Please, Jennifer. That house is all I have left. I have to go, Mom. I'll talk to you later." Click. Jennifer had hung up, and she hadn't called back, hadn't visited, hadn't answered any of Eleanor's subsequent calls. Now, sitting in her wheelchair by the window, Eleanor felt the full weight of what had happened. Her daughter had stolen from her, lied to her, abandoned her in this terrible place, and there was nothing Eleanor could do about it. She'd tried calling a lawyer, but her mind got confused when she tried to explain the situation. The lawyer had politely suggested she might be suffering from dementia, and that her daughter was probably making good decisions for her. She'd tried calling Adult Protective Services, but the investigator who visited had talked to Jennifer, who'd presented the legal documents showing Eleanor had willingly signed everything over. The investigator had concluded there was no abuse, just a confused elderly woman who didn't understand her own legal arrangements. No one believed her. No one would help her. Eleanor was trapped. God. She prayed quietly that evening, her arthritic hands clasped together, tears streaming down her weathered face. I know. You see me here. I know you know what Jennifer has done. I don't understand why this is happening, but I trust you. Please, Lord, save my daughter. Don't let her destroy her soul for money. Show her what she's become before it's too late. I forgive her, Father, but please, save her. Eleanor's prayer rose to heaven like incense, and in the throne room of God, Jesus Christ heard it. He had been watching. He had seen everything, the deception, the theft, the abandonment, the abuse, and he was about to act. Jennifer Matthews stood in the kitchen of her mother's house, her house now, legally, and felt a surge of satisfaction. The house had sold $815,000. Above asking price, a cash buyer who wanted to close in 2 weeks. After realtor fees and closing costs, Jennifer would walk away with approximately $780,000, $750,000, hers, free and clear. She'd already planned what she would do with it: pay off her credit card debt, $47,000, buy a new luxury SUV, $85,000, renovate her kitchen, $60,000, take an extended European vacation, $30,000, invest the rest. Her mother would never know. Eleanor's dementia was progressing soon. She probably wouldn't even remember she'd owned a house. And even if she did remember, what could she do about it? She'd signed everything over. Legally, Jennifer had done nothing wrong. That's what Jennifer told herself. Anyway, the truth was more complicated. The truth was that Jennifer had lied to her mother, had manipulated her. Confusion had placed her in a substandard facility specifically because it was cheap and out of the way, had stolen her inheritance. But Jennifer didn't think of it as stealing. She thought of it as protecting her interests, as being smart, as getting what she deserved. After all, hadn't she been a good daughter? Hadn't she visited her parents regularly before her father died? Hadn't she helped out occasionally? Didn't she deserve compensation for all those years of effort? Never mind that visiting regularly meant once every few months. Never mind that helping out occasionally meant showing up for holiday dinners, but never for the hard work of caregiving. Never mind that her parents had given her everything: life, education, love, support, without ever asking for compensation. In Jennifer's mind, she'd rewritten history to justify her actions. Her parents had been difficult, demanding. They'd never appreciated her enough. They'd made her childhood hard. This was a lie. Her childhood had been comfortable and loving. They owed her. They didn't. This is how thieves sleep at night. They construct elaborate narratives where they're the victim, where their crimes are justice, where their greed is righteousness. Jennifer was 38 years old, divorced, with no children. She worked as a mid-level marketing manager at a tech company, making a comfortable $95,000 a year. But comfortable had never been enough for Jennifer. She wanted luxury. She wanted to appear successful. She wanted to impress people with expensive possessions and exotic vacations. She'd accumulated significant credit card debt, trying to maintain an image she couldn't afford. The money from her mother's house would solve that problem, and no one would ever know where it came from. Jennifer poured herself a glass of champagne, an expensive bottle she'd been saving for a special occasion. This qualified to financial freedom. She toasted to herself, taking a sip, and to do, finally getting what I deserve. She walked through the house one last time, looking at the family photos on the walls, the furniture her parents had collected over 40 years, the evidence of a life lived and loved. For just a moment, just a brief, fleeting moment, Jennifer felt a twinge of guilt. This was her mother's home. These were her mother's memories. Eleanor was sitting in a nursing home right now, confused and abandoned, while Jennifer celebrated stealing everything from her. But Jennifer pushed the guilt away. Guilt was weakness. Guilt was for people who let themselves be taken advantage of. Jennifer was strong. Jennifer was smart. Jennifer was a survivor. She turned off the lights, locked the door, and drove back to her own townhouse in the city. That night, Jennifer lay in bed scrolling through luxury vacation packages on her iPad. Greece, Italy, the French Riviera, places she'd always wanted to go but could never afford. Now she could go anywhere she wanted. She fell, asleep with a smile on her face, visions of European beaches and five-star hotels dancing in her head. She had no idea that in a few hours, her entire world would collapse. At 2:47 a.m., Jennifer woke suddenly. The room was freezing. Her breath misted in the air, despite the thermostat being set to 72 degrees. The temperature had dropped at least 30 degrees in seconds, an impossibility, but undeniably real. "What the hell?" Jennifer muttered, reaching for her phone to check the thermostat app. But before she could open it, she felt it. A presence in the room. Someone or something was there. Every instinct in Jennifer's body screamed danger. Her heart rate spiked. Her hands began to shake. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice cracking with fear. "I have a gun." She didn't have a gun. It was a bluff. But it didn't matter, because the presence didn't respond to threats. Instead, the darkness in the corner of her bedroom began to glow. A soft, golden light that grew steadily, brighter, more intense, until Jennifer had to shield her eyes. And then, he appeared. A man dressed in white robes that seemed to be woven from light itself. His face was both beautiful and terrible, full of compassion, but also carrying an authority so absolute that Jennifer's breath caught in her throat. His eyes looked ancient and ageless simultaneously, holding depths of knowledge and sorrow that no human eyes could contain. Jennifer knew immediately who he was. There was no doubt, no confusion. "Jesus," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Yes, Jennifer," he said, and his voice filled the entire room despite being spoken softly. "I am Jesus Christ, and I've come to show you something you need to see." Jennifer's entire body began to tremble. "This isn't real. This is a dream. I'm hallucinating." "You've been living in a hallucination for months," Jesus said, his voice carrying a weight that pressed against Jennifer's chest. "Tonight, you're going to see reality. The reality of what you've done, and the reality of what awaits you if you don't change." "I don't know what you're talking about," Jennifer said, but her voice lacked conviction. She knew exactly what he was talking about. "Don't lie to me, Jennifer," Jesus said, and though his tone wasn't harsh, it carried such finality that Jennifer felt her defenses crumble. "You can lie to yourself. You can lie to others, but you cannot lie to the one who sees everything, knows everything, judges everything." He extended his hand toward her. "Come, I'm going to show you 3 things. The past you've forgotten, the present you've ignored, and the future you're creating." "I don't want to see anything," Jennifer said, backing away. "Please, just leave me alone." "I can't do that," Jesus said gently, "because your mother prayed for you tonight. She prayed that I would save you before you destroy your soul. And I always hear the prayers of the suffering." He touched Jennifer's forehead, and the bedroom disappeared. Jennifer found herself transported not physically, but spiritually, watching her own life unfold. She saw herself as a little girl, maybe 5 years old, sick with chickenpox. Her mother, Eleanor, young, energetic, beautiful, sitting beside her bed for 3 nights straight, applying calamine lotion to the itchy spots, reading stories, singing lullabies. "It's okay, sweetheart," young Eleanor whispered. "Mommy's here. I won't leave you." The scene shifted. Jennifer at age 12, crying because she didn't make the school volleyball team. Her mother holding her, stroking her hair, telling her she was special and talented, and that one rejection didn't define her worth. Another shift. Jennifer at age 16, in her first car accident, minor, but scary. She'd been at fault, texting while driving. Her mother had come to the scene immediately, not angry, just relieved Jennifer was safe. Eleanor had handled everything with the insurance, had paid the increased premiums without complaint, had never once made Jennifer feel guilty. "I'm just glad you're okay," Eleanor had said. "Cars can be replaced. You can't." Another shift. Jennifer's college graduation, Eleanor and Robert in the audience, tears streaming down their faces with pride. They'd paid her entire tuition, $120,000 over 4 years, taking out loans and working extra hours to make sure Jennifer graduated debt-free. "We want you to start your life without burden," her father had said. "You work hard. You deserve every opportunity." Jennifer watched these scenes with growing discomfort. She'd forgotten. Not literally, the memories were still there, but she'd pushed them aside, minimized them, rewritten them to support her narrative that she was owed something. The truth was undeniable now. Her parents had loved her sacrificially, completely, asking nothing in return. "Stop," Jennifer begged Jesus. "I get it. They were good parents. But that doesn't mean, watch," Jesus commanded, his voice allowing no argument. The scenes shifted to more recent times. Jennifer saw herself having lunch with her mother 2 years ago. Eleanor had mentioned she was worried about her memory. "I think I might need help soon, Jennifer. Maybe you could move in with me, or I could move in with you. I don't want to be a burden, but I'm scared of being alone." Jennifer had brushed her off. "Mom, you're fine. You're just getting older. Everyone forgets things. You don't need help." But that wasn't the truth. Jennifer hadn't wanted the inconvenience, hadn't wanted her lifestyle disrupted, hadn't wanted the responsibility. Another scene. Jennifer visiting her parents' house after her father's funeral. Eleanor, devastated with grief, asking Jennifer to visit more often. "I'm so alone now," Eleanor had said through tears. "Your father was my whole world. I just need my daughter sometimes." "I'll try, Mom," Jennifer had said, but she hadn't tried. Her visits had become less frequent, not more. She'd found excuses. She'd been too busy. She'd prioritized her own comfort over her mother's need. And then the most damning scene of all, 6 months ago, Jennifer in her apartment, reviewing her credit card statements, seeing the $47,000 in debt she'd accumulated through luxury purchases and expensive restaurants and designer clothes. Panic rising as she realized she couldn't maintain her lifestyle. And then, like a serpent whispering in the garden, the thought appearing in her mind, "Mom's house is worth a lot of money, and she doesn't really need it anymore. She's confused. She's forgetting things. If I could just get control of it." Jennifer watched herself make the decision, saw the exact moment when greed overtook love, when calculation replaced compassion, when she chose to view her mother not as a person to cherish, but as an asset to exploit. She saw herself researching how to get elderly parents to sign over property, finding the legal loopholes, planning the manipulation, and then executing it. The lies, the false concern, the carefully worded documents, the deception. "No," Jennifer sobbed, watching herself. "That's not what happened. I was trying to help her. I was protecting her." "You were stealing from her," Jesus said flatly. "You manipulated a confused elderly woman into signing away everything she owned. Then you locked her in a substandard facility where she suffers daily, and you told yourself lies to justify it. She's fine. The nursing home is fine." "Is it?" Jesus asked. "Then let's go see." The scene shifted. Jennifer found herself standing in room 247 at Sunset Valley Care Facility. Her mother sat in her wheelchair by the window, exactly as she'd been earlier that evening. But Jennifer was seeing things she'd deliberately avoided seeing when she'd placed her mother there. The deplorable conditions, the stained walls and dirty floors, the smell of neglect and human waste, the distant sounds of confused residents calling out for help that wouldn't come. "Look at her, Jennifer," Jesus said softly. "Really, look at your mother." Jennifer forced herself to look at Eleanor. Her mother's hair was unwashed and matted. Her clothes were stained. She'd lost weight, at least 20 pounds. Her skin was pale and had bruises, possibly from falls, possibly from rough handling by overwhelmed staff. But worst of all were Eleanor's eyes. They held a sadness so profound, a sense of abandonment so complete, that it broke something inside Jennifer. The scene shifted to show Eleanor's typical day. 6 a.m. woken roughly by an aide who needed to get through 20 residents in 40 minutes. Changed quickly, impersonally, without dignity or care. 7 a.m. Breakfast brought to her room cold, unappetizing. Eleanor could barely eat it. No one checked to see if she'd eaten enough. Her blood sugar remained unstable. 9 a.m. Left in her wheelchair in the day room with a TV playing at full volume. No activities, no stimulation, just sitting, existing, being warehoused. 12 p.m. Another terrible meal. Eleanor asked for help cutting her meat. The aide was too busy and didn't come back. Eleanor went hungry. 2 p.m. Eleanor called for help to use the bathroom. It took 45 minutes for someone to come. She had an accident. The aide cleaned her up hastily, frustrated, making Eleanor feel shame on top of physical discomfort. 5 p.m. Eleanor called Jennifer, left a voicemail. "Sweetheart, it's Mom. I miss you. Will you come visit? I'm not doing well here. Please call me back." Jennifer had deleted the voicemail without listening to it fully. 8 p.m. Eleanor was put to bed early because the night shift was understaffed. She lay in the dark, in pain from her arthritis, confused and frightened, crying silently so as not to bother anyone. 9 p.m. Eleanor prayed, for herself, for the other residents, and for Jennifer. Always for Jennifer. "Stop," Jennifer wept, unable to watch anymore. "Please stop. You asked if the nursing home was fine," Jesus said. "You see now that it's not. Your mother suffers every single day because you chose the cheapest option so you could keep more money for yourself." "I didn't know it was this bad," Jennifer protested weakly. "You didn't want to know," Jesus corrected. "You visited once during the intake process and never came back. You ignored her phone calls. You deleted her voicemails. You deliberately avoided knowing because knowing would have interfered with your plans." He paused, letting the weight of truth settle. "Do you know what the Bible says about those who neglect the elderly and vulnerable? Whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me. When you abandoned your mother, you abandoned me. When you stole from her, you stole from me. When you locked her away to suffer, you imprisoned me. I'm sorry," Jennifer sobbed. "I'm so sorry. I'll fix it. I'll move her somewhere better. I'll give back the money from the house. I'll make it right. Will you?" Jesus asked, his voice gentle but probing. "Or are you just saying what you think I want to hear? Because Jennifer, I know your heart. And right now, part of you is still calculating. Still wondering if you can make minimal changes while keeping most of the money. Still thinking about how to appear righteous without actually being righteous." Jennifer wanted to deny it, but she couldn't, because he was right. Even in her horror and shame, part of her was already thinking, maybe I can move her to a nicer place but not the most expensive one. Maybe I can keep some of the money. Maybe I can make small amends without fully sacrificing everything. "You need to see one more thing," Jesus said. "The most important thing. Your future if you don't truly repent." "I don't want to see it," Jennifer whispered, terrified. "I know," Jesus said sadly. "No one wants to see it. But you must. Because this is where your path leads if you continue in hardness of heart." Before we begin, if you believe in second chances and the power of faith, type "restore" in the comments right now. Let your voice be the spark of hope for a family in need. Show the world your faith in action. The scene shifted violently. Jennifer found herself standing in a hospital room. An elderly woman lay in the bed, dying. Machines beeped. Medical staff moved efficiently but without urgency. This was clearly end-of-life care, not a rescue. Jennifer looked closer at the woman and gasped. It was herself. Older, maybe 40 years older, ravaged by time and disease. Is this me?" Jennifer asked. "This is one possible future," Jesus said. "Your future, if you continue on your current path." Jennifer watched her future self dying, alone. No family at the bedside, no friends, just nurses doing their job. "Where is everyone?" Jennifer asked. "You have no one," Jesus said simply. "You never married again. You never had children. You alienated everyone who tried to love you because you always put yourself first. You died having achieved material comfort. You spent all your mother's money and more, but you died utterly alone." Jennifer watched her future self take her last breath. saw the exact moment the soul left the body, and then the vision shifted to something that made Jennifer scream. She was standing before a throne of unbearable light and glory. But the glory wasn't welcoming, it was judging. Jennifer Matthews. A voice thundered, a voice so powerful it seemed to shake the very foundations of reality. Give an account of your life. Jennifer watched her future self try to speak. I was successful. I built a good career. What did you do for the least of these? The voice interrupted. I donated to charity sometimes. You stole from your mother. You abandoned her to suffering. You broke the commandment to honor your parents. You lived for yourself alone. A book appeared, ancient, massive, containing every deed, every thought, every secret of Jennifer's life. Page after page of selfishness, greed, manipulation, lies. But I'm a good person, future Jennifer protested. I didn't murder anyone. I wasn't evil. You murdered your mother's dignity, the voice said. You killed her hope. You destroyed her trust. And you did it for money, for 30 pieces of silver. You betrayed the woman who gave you life. The judgment was absolute, final, terrifying. And then Jennifer saw where she was going. Darkness. Complete, absolute darkness that wasn't just absence of light but presence of evil. Cold that burned. Isolation that was crushing. Torment that was eternal. And in that darkness, Jennifer heard voices. The voices of her mother, her father, everyone she'd hurt, or neglected, or exploited. Not accusing, just testifying. Present. A permanent reminder of every sin, every failure, every betrayal. This is hell, Jesus said quietly. Not flames and pitchforks like cartoons show, but separation from me. Separation from love. Separation from hope. Forever. No, Jennifer screamed, falling to her knees. Please, please, I don't want that. I'll do anything. Anything. The vision ended abruptly. Jennifer was back in her bedroom, on her knees on the floor, Jesus standing before her. She was sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. Her whole body shook with terror and horror and devastating shame. Please, she gasped. Please don't send me there. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll fix everything. I'll give everything back. I'll take care of my mother. Just please, give me another chance. Jesus knelt beside her, his face full of compassion. Jennifer, I didn't show you that vision to condemn you. I showed it to you to save you. Because this is where you're heading if you don't change. Not maybe, not possibly, certainly. He placed his hand on her shoulder. But here's the truth. I died for you. Even knowing what you would become, even knowing how you would hurt your mother, I went to the cross for you. My grace is sufficient even for this, even for theft and betrayal and elder abuse. But grace requires repentance. True repentance, not just feeling bad, but completely turning away from sin. I will, Jennifer sobbed. I promise, I will. Then prove it, Jesus said. Tomorrow morning, not next week, not when it's convenient. But tomorrow you will do 3 things. First, you will go to your mother and beg her forgiveness. Second, you will move her to the best care facility available, regardless of cost. Third, you will return every penny you took from her, even if it means going into debt. Even if it means losing your house, your car, your comfortable lifestyle. He looked into her eyes with infinite love and infinite seriousness. This is your last chance, Jennifer. Your mother is 82 years old. She doesn't have much time left. If you delay, if you rationalize, if you compromise, she will die feeling abandoned and betrayed. And you will live with that guilt forever, and then face judgment for it. I'll do it, Jennifer said firmly, feeling something break inside her, the hard shell of selfishness cracking, the diseased part of her soul being cut away. Tomorrow. I'll do everything tomorrow. And one more thing, Jesus said. You will use your story to warn others. You will tell people what you did, how you justified it, where it was leading. You will be honest about your sin, so that others might avoid it. Your shame will become a testimony to my grace. I will, Jennifer promised. I'll tell everyone. I don't care about my reputation anymore. I just want to make this right. Jesus smiled a smile of such joy and relief that it warmed the frozen places in Jennifer's soul. Then, you are saved, Jennifer Matthews. In this moment, you are redeemed. Go and sin no more. Love your mother for whatever time she has left. And when she passes, you will know that she died, loved, and cared for, not abandoned and betrayed. Will I see you again? Jennifer asked. I am with you always, Jesus said. In every act of love you show your mother, I am there. In every sacrifice you make to care for her, you honor me. In every moment you choose her, dignity over your comfort, you worship me. He began to fade, his form becoming translucent light. Thank you, Jennifer whispered. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for saving me from myself. That's what I do, Jesus said, his voice echoing as he disappeared. I save people from themselves. I rescue the perishing. I love the unlovable. Remember this night, Jennifer, and live differently because of it. And then he was gone, leaving Jennifer alone on her bedroom floor, transformed. Jennifer didn't sleep for the rest of the night. She couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the visions Jesus had shown her, her mother suffering, her own future damnation, the weight of her sins. At 6 a.m., as soon as she was sure businesses would be open, Jennifer began making calls. First, she called the most highly rated assisted living facility in Phoenix, Silverbrook Senior Living, a 5-star facility with exceptional reviews, where residents received individualized care, quality meals, daily activities, and dignity. I need to move my mother in immediately, Jennifer told the admissions director. Cost is not an issue, whatever it takes. She's currently at Sunset Valley, and I need to get her out of there today. Today? The director sounded surprised. Miss Matthews, our intake process usually takes several days. We need to review medical records, do an assessment. I understand, Jennifer interrupted, her voice urgent. But my mother is suffering. I made a terrible mistake putting her where she is. I'm begging you, please, can we expedite this? I'll pay whatever fees are necessary. I'll sign whatever paperwork. I just need to get her somewhere safe and good today. The director heard the desperation in Jennifer's voice. Let me see what I can do. Can you bring your mother in for an emergency assessment at 10 a.m.? Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Next, Jennifer called her bank. I need to take out a personal loan. As much as you'll approve. And I need to access my retirement accounts, even with the penalties. The banker was concerned. Miss Matthews, withdrawing from retirement early comes with significant tax implications and penalties. Are you sure? I'm sure. I have to make something right. How soon can we process this? I can have preliminary approval by this afternoon. Do it, please. Finally, Jennifer called her office. I need to take emergency family leave. My mother has been in crisis, and I need to be with her full-time for the foreseeable future. Her supervisor was sympathetic. Of course, Jennifer, take the time you need. Family comes first. Jennifer almost laughed bitterly at that phrase. Family comes first. She'd forgotten that completely. She'd put her own greed, her own comfort, her own image ahead of the woman who gave her life. Never again. At 8:30 a.m., Jennifer drove to Sunset Valley Care Facility. Her hands shook as she parked. She'd avoided this place for 4 months. Now she was about to walk in and face what she'd done. The lobby smelled like urine and industrial cleaner. The furniture was worn. The staff looked exhausted. Jennifer felt sick, knowing she'd condemned her mother to this place. She found her way to room 247. The door was partially open. She knocked softly. Mom? It's Jennifer. There was a long pause. Then Eleanor's voice, cautious and disbelieving. Jennifer? Jennifer pushed the door open and saw her mother sitting in the wheelchair by the window, exactly as Jesus had shown her. But seeing it in person was worse. So much worse. Eleanor looked frail, diminished, neglected. Her eyes held such profound sadness that Jennifer felt her heart shatter. Hi, Mom, Jennifer said, her voice breaking. Eleanor stared at her as if seeing a ghost. You came. You actually came. I'm so sorry I didn't come sooner, Jennifer said, walking into the room. Mom, her voice failed. She fell to her knees beside the wheelchair and buried her face in her mother's lap, sobbing. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. Eleanor's arthritic hands moved slowly to touch her daughter's head, stroking her hair like she'd done when Jennifer was a child. What's wrong, sweetheart? Eleanor asked, confused by this sudden appearance and emotional outburst. Everything's wrong, Mom. Everything. Jesus appeared to me last night. He showed me what I've done to you. He showed me the truth. Eleanor's hands stilled. Jesus appeared to you? Yes. He showed me your suffering. He showed me my sins. Mom, I stole from you. I lied to you. I took your house. I put you in this terrible place. I abandoned you. And I convinced myself it was okay, that I deserved it, that it wasn't really that bad. Jennifer looked up at her mother with tears streaming down her face. But it was bad. It was evil. I betrayed you, Mom. The woman who loved me, who sacrificed everything for me, who gave me life. I betrayed you for money, and I am so sorry. Eleanor's own tears began to fall. Oh, Jennifer, I know you might not be able to forgive me, Jennifer continued. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm going to make this right. I'm moving you out of here today. I'm taking you to the best facility in Phoenix. I'm giving back every penny I took from your house, even if I have to go into debt to do it. And I'm going to take care of you for the rest of your life, Mom. However long that is, I'm going to be the daughter I should have been all along. Eleanor cupped Jennifer's face in her trembling. Jennifer, sweetheart, I forgive you. How? Jennifer sobbed. How can you forgive me so easily? Because you're my daughter, Eleanor said simply. And that's what mothers do. We forgive, we love, we hope. I've been praying for you every single day, Jennifer. Praying that Jesus would reach you before it was too late. And he did. He answered my prayers. I don't deserve you, Jennifer whispered. None of us deserve grace, Eleanor said. But thank God, he gives it anyway. They held each other and cried tears of grief for the lost months, tears of joy for the reconciliation, tears of gratitude for a God who pursues his children even into their darkest sins. By noon, Jennifer had checked Eleanor out of Sunset Valley against the facility's protests. We require 30 days' notice, then sue me, and transported her to Silverbrook Senior Living. The difference was staggering. Silverbrook had clean, bright hallways, private rooms with comfortable furniture and natural light, staff who smiled and treated residents with dignity, a dining room that looked like a nice restaurant, activity rooms, a garden, a library. This is beautiful, Eleanor said as they toured her new private suite. It had a bedroom, a small sitting area, and a bathroom with safety bars and an accessible shower. The window overlooked a garden. This is what you deserve, Mom, Jennifer said. This is what I should have given you from the beginning. The cost was significant, $6,800 per month versus the $2,200 Sunset Valley had charged. But Jennifer didn't care. She'd sell everything she owned if necessary. Over the next few days, Jennifer worked frantically to make restitution. She withdrew from her retirement accounts, taking massive penalties. She took out a personal loan. She sold her luxury SUV and bought a used sedan. She canceled her European vacation plans and got refunds where possible. She managed to gather $780,000, the exact amount she'd netted from selling her mother's house. Then, she did something radical. She used that money to purchase a small, modest condo near Silverbrook. She put it in her mother's name truly, legally her mother's, with no strings attached. Mom, this is your home, Jennifer explained as they toured the condo. It's not as nice as your old house, but it's yours. When you're ready to leave Silverbrook, if you ever want more independence, you have a place to go. And when you pass away, it goes to whomever you choose, not to me automatically. I don't deserve that. This is me giving back what I stole, Eleanor cried as she walked through the little condo. Jennifer, you didn't have to do this. Yes, I did, Jennifer said firmly. Mom, I stole from you. I have to make it right. And even this doesn't fully make it right. I can never give back the 4 months you suffered at Sunset Valley. But it's a start. If this moment is touching your heart, share your story or a prayer request in the comments below. Someone watching may need the encouragement only you can give. Tag a friend who could use this message of hope today. Jennifer had moved into a small apartment much smaller than her previous townhouse, which she'd sold to help finance her mother's care and restitution. She'd downsized everything in her life. Her credit cards were paid off, but only by liquidating nearly all her assets. She drove a 10-year-old Honda, She wore clothes from Target instead of Nordstrom. She'd stopped going to expensive restaurants and luxury spas. Her life looked completely different from the outside. But on the inside, Jennifer felt freer than she'd ever been. She visited her mother every single day at Silverbrook. They'd have lunch together. Jennifer would wheel Eleanor through the gardens. They'd work on jigsaw puzzles or watch old movies together. Eleanor's health had improved dramatically. With proper nutrition, medication management, and care, she'd gained back weight, her color had returned, and her spirits had lifted. The profound sadness in her eyes had been replaced with joy. "You look happy, Mom," Jennifer said, one afternoon as they sat in the garden. "I am happy," Eleanor said. "I have my daughter back. That's all I ever wanted." Jennifer also began attending a church near Silverbrook. She'd never been particularly religious before, but after Jesus had appeared to her, she felt a hunger for spiritual growth, for understanding, for community. She joined a small group Bible study, and when it came time to share testimonies, Jennifer told her story. All of it. The theft, the abandonment, the greed, the divine intervention, the restitution. She held nothing back. "I was a terrible daughter," Jennifer said to the group. "I stole from my mother. I locked her away in a horrible place. I convinced myself I deserved her money more than she deserved dignity, and I was heading straight to hell because of it." She looked around at the shocked, compassionate faces listening to her. "But Jesus appeared to me. He showed me the truth, and he gave me a chance to make it right. I don't deserve the grace he showed me. I don't deserve my mother's forgiveness, but I received both anyway. That's what grace is, getting what you don't deserve. And now I want to use my story to warn others." After the meeting, several people approached Jennifer in tears. One woman said, "I've been planning to put my father in a cheap nursing home so I can keep more of his money for myself. Your story just stopped me. Thank you." Another man said, "I've been stealing small amounts from my elderly mother's account for 2 years. I told myself she wouldn't notice, that I'd pay it back eventually. But you've shown me I'm on the same path you were. I need to confess and make it right." Jennifer hugged them both. "Do it now. Don't wait. Your parents won't be here forever. Make it right while you still can." Jennifer was invited to speak at a conference on elder abuse prevention. She'd never been a public speaker before, but she felt called to share her testimony. Standing before an audience of social workers, lawyers, and healthcare professionals, Jennifer told her story in full detail. "Elder financial abuse is often committed by family members," she began, "and I know this because I was one of them. I stole $800,000 from my mother by manipulating her into signing over her house. Then I locked her in the worst nursing home I could find, so she wouldn't interfere with my plans." The audience was riveted. "I justified it by telling myself she wouldn't need the money, that I deserved compensation for being her daughter, that it wasn't really stealing if I used legal documents, but it was stealing. It was abuse. It was evil." Jennifer described the night Jesus appeared to her, the visions he showed her, the devastating future she was heading toward. "I don't expect everyone here to believe that Jesus literally appeared to me," Jennifer said. "But whether you believe in divine intervention or not, the principles are the same. Elder abuse destroys lives. It destroys the victim's dignity and security. It destroys the perpetrator's soul, and it has eternal consequences." She outlined the warning signs of financial abuse, the legal protections available, and the intervention strategies that work. But more than that, she spoke about the spiritual dimension. "If you're a person of faith, hear this. When you abuse an elderly person, you're not just hurting them. Jesus said, 'Whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me.' You're sinning against God himself, and there will be judgment for it, either in this life, when Jesus graciously intervenes to save you, or in the next life, when it's too late." After her presentation, Jennifer was mobbed by people wanting to thank her, to share their own stories, to ask for advice. One attorney pulled her aside. "Would you be willing to testify in court cases? Your testimony from the perpetrator's perspective could be incredibly powerful in prosecuting these crimes." "Absolutely," Jennifer said. "If my shame can protect other elderly people, it's worth it." Eleanor's health took a turn. The dementia that had been moderate became severe. She began having trouble recognizing people, including Jennifer sometimes. But even in her confusion, Eleanor knew she was loved. She knew she was safe. She knew her daughter was there. Jennifer had arranged for hospice care when it became clear Eleanor was in her final weeks. She took family medical leave from work and spent every day at her mother's bedside. "I love you, Mom," Jennifer would say multiple times a day, even when Eleanor couldn't respond coherently. "I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for never giving up on me. Thank you for forgiving me. Thank you for being the best mother anyone could ask for." Eleanor passed away peacefully on a Tuesday afternoon, with Jennifer holding her hand and reading Psalm 23. "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." Eleanor took her last breath with a smile on her face, and Jennifer, though grieving deeply, felt a profound peace, because her mother had died knowing she was loved, had died in dignity, had died forgiving her daughter. At the funeral, Jennifer gave the eulogy. "My mother, Eleanor Matthews, was a woman of extraordinary grace," Jennifer began. "She loved sacrificially, she forgave completely, and she prayed without ceasing." Jennifer looked out at the church full of people, family, friends, residents and staff from Silverbrook, members of Jennifer's church who had come to support her. "I need to tell you something," Jennifer said. "A year ago, I was my mother's abuser. I stole from her. I abandoned her. I locked her away in a terrible place where she suffered." Gasps rippled through the church. Some people who didn't know Jennifer's story looked shocked. "But my mother prayed for me, even as I betrayed her, even as I hurt her. She prayed that Jesus would save me, and he did. He appeared to me one night and showed me the truth of what I'd become, and where I was heading." Jennifer's voice broke. "Because of my mother's prayers and Jesus's grace, I had 1 year to make it right, 1 year to love her properly, 1 year to care for her with the devotion she deserved. Many people don't get that second chance. Many people realize too late what they've done." She looked at the casket holding her mother's body. "Mom, thank you for praying for me. Thank you for forgiving me. Thank you for teaching me what unconditional love looks like. I'll spend the rest of my life honoring your memory by warning others, by helping elderly people who are being abused, by living differently because of what you taught me." There wasn't a dry eye in the church. Jennifer Matthews stood in front of a Senate committee hearing on elder abuse legislation. In the 5 years since her mother's death, Jennifer had become one of the nation's leading advocates for elder abuse prevention. She'd testified in dozens of court cases. She'd helped pass legislation in 3 states, strengthening protections for vulnerable adults. She'd founded a nonprofit organization that provided legal services to elderly people who had been financially exploited by family members. "Senator, I speak to you today not as an expert, though I've become one," Jennifer addressed the committee. "I speak to you as a perpetrator who was saved. I am someone who committed elder financial abuse against my own mother, and I'm here to tell you, this crime is happening in every community, in every economic class, in every demographic." She outlined policy recommendations, mandatory reporting requirements, stronger penalties, better training for financial institutions to spot abuse, funding for adult protective services. But she ended with a personal appeal. "I want to speak directly to anyone watching this who is currently exploiting an elderly parent or relative," Jennifer said, looking into the camera. "You think you're getting away with it. You think no one knows. You've convinced yourself that you deserve the money, that they don't need it, that it's not really stealing." She paused. "But you're wrong. It is stealing. It is abuse. It is evil. And even if you never get caught by law enforcement, you will face judgment. I know this because Jesus Christ appeared to me and showed me exactly where I was heading. He saved me before it was too late, but only because my mother prayed for me with her dying breath. Don't wait for a divine intervention. Don't wait for a crisis. Stop now. Confess. Make restitution. Ask for forgiveness, because the person you're hurting is someone's mother, someone's father, someone who loved you, raised you, sacrificed for you. They deserve your honor, not your exploitation." The testimony went viral online. Millions of people watched it. Jennifer received thousands of messages, some thanking her, some condemning her, but many from people who confessed they had been doing the same thing and her story had stopped them. One email in particular stood out. "Miss Matthews, I watched your testimony. I've been stealing from my mother's account for 3 years. I convinced myself it was okay because I'm the one who will inherit anyway. But your story showed me I was on the same path to hell you were on. Today I confess to my mother. She's hurt and angry, but we're working with a lawyer to set up restitution. Thank you for being brave enough to tell your story. You saved my soul. Jennifer read that email and cried. Because this was why Jesus had saved her, not just for her own sake, but so that her story could save others. On the 10th anniversary of the night Jesus appeared to her, Jennifer visited her mother's grave. She brought flowers, Eleanor's favorite pink roses, and sat on the bench near the headstone. "Hi, Mom," Jennifer said softly. 10 years ago tonight, you were suffering in that terrible nursing home. I was celebrating stealing your house. And Jesus appeared to both of us, to you, to give you hope, to me to give me conviction. She smiled through tears. I miss you every day. But I'm so grateful for the year we had together after I made it right. That year was worth more than all the money I stole. Those memories of taking care of you, of loving you properly, they're the most precious things I have. Jennifer looked up at the sky, where the sun was beginning to set. I've spent the last 10 years trying to honor your memory, Mom, trying to prevent other families from making the mistakes I made, trying to warn people about how easy it is to justify evil when it benefits us. She stood and placed the roses on the grave. Thank you for never giving up on me. Thank you for praying for me even when I didn't deserve it. And thank you, Jesus, she said, looking upward, for hearing her prayers, for giving me that second chance, for showing me the truth before it was too late. As Jennifer walked back to her car, she felt a presence beside her, warm, comforting, familiar. She couldn't see anything, but she knew Jesus was there, just as he'd promised, always with her. She heard his voice, not audibly but in her spirit. Well done, good and faithful servant. You took the worst thing you ever did and turned it into a testimony of grace. Continue the work. There are still many who need to hear your story. I will, Jennifer whispered. For the rest of my life, I will. And she did. This story is about theft, but it's about more than financial theft. It's about how we steal dignity, security, and peace from those who should be able to trust us most. Elder financial abuse is one of the fastest growing crimes in America. Experts estimate that only 1 in 44 cases is ever reported. That means there are hundreds of thousands of elderly people right now being exploited by their own children, grandchildren, or other family members. And the perpetrators look just like Jennifer. They're not obviously evil. They're ordinary people who've convinced themselves that what they're doing is okay, that they deserve it, that it's not really that bad. But it is that bad. Because when you steal from an elderly parent, you're not just taking money. You're taking their security in their final years. You're betraying the trust they placed in you. You're dishonoring the people who gave you life. The Bible is clear. Honor your father and mother. Not honor them if they're wealthy and you can inherit from them. Not honor them unless you really need money. Just honor them, period. If you're watching this and you're currently exploiting an elderly parent or relative, stop. Stop right now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. Confess what you've done. Make restitution, even if it's painful. Ask for forgiveness, even if you don't deserve it. Because Jesus is offering you the same grace he offered Jennifer, but that grace requires genuine repentance, not just feeling bad while continuing to sin. And if you're watching this, and you suspect someone you know is being financially exploited, speak up. Call Adult Protective Services. Offer to help. Don't assume someone else will handle it. Eleanor Matthews prayed for her daughter with her dying breath. That prayer saved Jennifer's soul. Your intervention might save someone else's. Remember, we take nothing with us when we die except the state of our souls. All the money, all the possessions, all the comfort we steal, it means nothing in eternity. But the relationships we honor or betray, the trust we keep or break, the love we show or withhold that matters forever. Choose wisely, choose quickly, because tomorrow is not promised, and neither is divine intervention.
Subscribe to Tales of God's Grace for more true miracles and stories of redemption. Your support helps us reach and restore families around the world. Don't forget to tag a friend and share this video. so together we can spread faith, love, and healing where it's needed most.